Hello everyone. With just another quick one. We're just gonna go straight through what a full adder and full subtractor is. It's one of the circuits I can guarantee that every single person that's ever touched a computer has used. They just don't know. They just don't know. All right, so here we are. We have our full adder, full subtractor. How do they work? Well, we add and subtract numbers. This is how we actually start manipulating data in computers, right? In binary with circuitry, actually making numbers do things. So let's say we have 1 plus 1. What do we get in the full adder? Oh my goodness, we get 1 plus 1, which is 1, 0, because that's the representation of 2 in binary. And here's the full adder truth table. Boom. Look at that. Cool truth table. And for those of you at home that don't know binary math or what the bits represent, here I'll show you. Wow. Look at this graph too, or this table. Isn't that beautiful? 2 to the power of 0 represents 1, 2 to the power of 1 represents 2, and so on. And you see it doubles, and it's pretty cool stuff, I think. Now back to the full adder. We have 1, 0, right? So now what happens if I were to, add one more to that? We get 1, 1. And that's the representation of 3 in binary. Because if you take 2 to the power 1 plus 2 to the power of 0, well, that's 2 plus 1, which gives us 3. And that's why it's represented that way. Cool stuff, isn't it? Now, let's move on to the full subtractor. As you can see, this is the full subtractor's truth table. Very interesting stuff. And so, let's say we have 1 here and 1 here. Well, that's 1 minus 1. So, that gives us 0. Well, let's say we have 0 minus 1. What do we get? We get a rollover. That's crazy. That's how that works. We get a rollover. Oh, it's me editing this. It's actually called integer underflow. I realized I used the wrong. Well, yeah, I used the wrong term there. Overflow is when it wraps the other way. It goes from, like, let's say you had an odometer, right? The really old ones. And it like read let's say 999, and then it wraps around to 000. That's overflow. You could also call it, I guess, borrow under overflow if you wanted to make a distinction. But yeah, it's just underflow. Anyone familiar with programming might know what happens when you give an unsigned integer. Well, you have an unsigned integer, right? -1, and like you print that. And what do you get? You get like 255, right? Or whatever the biggest number the computer can represent. Similar idea, or probably the same idea actually. That's some pretty cool stuff, and eventually you'll learn about two's complement subtraction and all sorts of things like that. But I'm not going to teach you that. Just look it up in a book, guys. Come on, I can't teach you everything. And then, of course, what if we have 1, 1 minus 1, right? Boom. Isn't that crazy? We get 1, 0. Some crazy stuff here. Some crazy stuff here. And yeah, that's basically a full adder, full subtractor. Usually in actually modern computing, and even most modern computing, you won't see these separated. You'll see them combined into a full adder, full subtractor circuit as one. Because if you notice, the schematic for this one and the schematic for this one are pretty identical. The only difference is that we have an inverter here on the A input. But that's about it. And the only other thing we change is the verbiage, right? We have A and B still, but then we have carry in for adders, borrow in for subtractors, carry out for adders, and borrow out for subtractors. And then of course we have S, which is the sum, and then D, which is the difference. And that's basic, that's basic math, right? But yeah, this is some pretty cool stuff, and it goes on, and we use this later for some very cool circuitry I'm going to show you later. Obviously, I didn't build this at component level. I'm getting pretty lazy with that, but you'll see. I'll pick up on it again on showing you some other things. So I was gonna end the video, but I just thought I'd quickly show you how the combine adder subtractor circuit it works, right? And so let's just ignore the carry out for now. This doesn't mean anything, right? And I'll explain why in a minute, and I'll actually show you on screen. So let's say we want to add 1 plus 1. Oh, look, we have 1 plus 0, so that's 1. And let's say we add 1 plus 1. Now we have 1, 0, that's 2. Okay, the adder part works. Now this is where the subtraction gets funky. Because the carry in is now the mode select, when we select this, well, now we have this here, and we ignore this because we would handle this in a different, we handle the carryout now in a different way. Here, I'll pop it on screen for you. As you can see, the carryout of the first block cascades, and it goes into the second block, and that carryout from the second block is the third and the fourth, and obviously so on and so forth. And then, of course, at the very end, you'd have some sort of circuitry to deal with the carryout, right? At the very end. Obviously, there's many different complex ways to handle it, but, you know. So now we come back to looking at the combined adder subtractor. And so let's say we have, you know, 1 minus 0. Boom, that's 1. Let's just ignore this. Let's just turn that off. It's off now. Bye-bye, it's gone. Don't look at it. And so what happens if we do 1 minus 1? Oh my goodness. We get a crazy number. It's 0. That's oh man. And then, of course, if we have 0 minus 1, what do we get? Oh, we get 1. Because it rolls over. Incredible. Incredible. And yeah, that's basically how the full adder subtractor looks. It's a pretty cool circuit, and as you can see, because, like I said, the full adder, full subtractor by themselves, they basically look identical. And so why would we double the circuitry when all we have to do is add some more control circuitry here with the exclusive OR gate? And yeah, it's pretty cool stuff, I think. And so this is very important for what we're getting into later. I keep saying that, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. It should be great. Your mind's going to be blown.